Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. Imagine walking past a dusty old coin jar or digging into your childhood piggy bank only to stumble upon a simple penny, one that seems ordinary at first glance, yet holds a hidden history and an extraordinary value. That's exactly the case with one remarkable coin that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the world, the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, we all know pennies are typically overlooked, left at the bottom of pockets, ignored on sidewalks, or tossed into fountains without a second thought. But what if one of those tiny copper coins was actually worth more than a luxury car, a college education, or even a small home? The 1960 Lincoln penny, though modest in appearance, has become a legend in numismatic circles, and for good reason. Let's rewind to the early 1960s, a time of transition, growth, and innovation in the United States. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 50 years by that point, originally minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and it quickly became a symbol of American resilience and progress. But 1960 was no ordinary year for the Lincoln cent. It was a year marked by a significant and somewhat confusing change in the design of the coin's date. The U.S. Mint produced two versions of the 1960 penny, the large date and the small date varieties. While both versions were minted at Philadelphia and Denver, it's the subtle differences between these two date styles that sparked an explosion of interest among collectors. The small date variety, in particular, with its more compact and closely spaced numerals, turned out to be rarer, and far more desirable, than its large date counterpart. And when a small date penny from the Denver Mint was discovered to have incredibly low mint errors or extraordinary condition, its value quickly shot through the roof. Now, let's add in another layer of intrigue: mint errors. Error coins are among the most exciting finds in the collecting world because they are truly one of a kind. From double strikes and off-center minting to transitional planchet errors or coins struck on foreign blanks, these quirks turn a common coin into a rare gem. A 1960 Lincoln penny with even a minor error can drastically increase in value, but combine that with a rare small date, pristine condition, and full original luster, and you have a collector's dream. That's exactly what happened with one specific 1960 Lincoln penny that stunned experts and collectors alike. Discovered by a sharp-eyed enthusiast and authenticated by a top-tier grading company, this coin was not only a small date version but also boasted a nearly flawless surface, sharp details, and a unique error that made it one of the finest known examples in existence. It didn't just impress, it turned heads at auction. Bidding wars erupted as seasoned collectors recognized the rarity of the opportunity. And when the dust settled, this seemingly humble penny sold for the astonishing sum of $135,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny, something you might pass over in your daily change, was valued and sold for $135,000. That's the kind of treasure that reminds us all to look a little closer at the coins we take for granted. Because hidden in the smallest corners of our lives could be a piece of history, a slice of rarity, or even a fortune just waiting to be discovered. So next time you spot a penny, especially one from 1960, don't just toss it aside. Take a second look. It might just be the luckiest cent you've ever found. Top 2. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes it's the smallest pieces of metal that carry the heaviest weight in value, history, and intrigue. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has been an essential part of American currency for over a century, quietly passing through hands, pockets, and generations. But among the billions minted, a few stand out as extraordinary. One such coin is the 1967 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin looks just like any other you've come across in your daily change. Abraham Lincoln's stoic profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial etched on the back, and its classic copper tone. But there's more to this coin than meets the eye, and today we're diving deep into why one of these unassuming pennies turned out to be a hidden fortune. The year 1967 was a transitional time in American coinage. Just a couple of years earlier, the U.S. Mint had removed silver from most of the circulating coins due to a rising demand and the metal's increasing cost. In the aftermath, the Mint was under pressure to simplify production and avoid the chaos caused by coin hoarding. As a result, the Mint suspended the use of mint marks for a few years, including on pennies. That's right, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Just a plain date, 1967. But within that year's mintage, something happened. A small batch of coins was struck with superior quality, unusual variations, and rare minting errors that went undetected until they found their way into the hands of everyday people. Now, why does this matter? Because when a coin like the 1967 penny is found in exceptional condition, especially with a full red luster and sharp strike, it becomes a candidate for intense interest among collectors. These rare examples are often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and placed in a high category, sometimes MS67 or above. Coins in these top grades are incredibly scarce, particularly from this era when quality control was not as stringent and minting inconsistencies were common. Beyond condition, era coins from this year also spark massive interest. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies, and even transitional planchet errors where a penny might have been mistakenly struck on a dime blank, making it thinner and lighter than it should be. These coins are rare, fascinating, and incredibly valuable. What's truly amazing is how many of these rare finds are still out there, tucked away in jars, locked in old drawers, or hidden among piles of forgotten change. And while most people overlook pennies as being nearly worthless, collectors know better. They know that every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than its face value. The 1967 Lincoln penny is one of those coins. A single example, verified as being in pristine, mint state condition and featuring an extremely rare die variety, was brought to auction. The bidding was fierce, as seasoned numismatists and private collectors alike competed to add this gem to their collection. It wasn't just a coin, it was a piece of history, a masterpiece of minting, and a treasure hiding in plain sight. When the final gavel struck and the dust had settled, the value of that penny stunned even the experts. That 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny sold for $115,000. That's right, a single cent, likely once carried in someone's pocket decades ago, now worth more than a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or a college degree. So before you dismiss that penny in your pocket, remember that the smallest coin might just hold the biggest surprise. Check your change. You could be holding a six-figure treasure without even realizing it. Top 3. In the world of coin collecting, few things are more exciting than discovering a valuable treasure hiding in plain sight. One of the most overlooked yet fascinating coins in American history is the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1981. At first glance, this coin may seem just like any other copper-colored cent you've handled countless times. You've probably passed one across a counter, dropped one in a tip jar, or found one under the cushions of your couch without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these humble coins, minted in 1981, could be worth a small fortune today? Yes, the Lincoln penny from that year holds more value than most people ever imagine, especially if it possesses the right characteristics that collectors are desperately searching for. The Lincoln penny design itself has a deep and meaningful legacy. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the face of an actual historical figure. By 1981, this coin had already become a familiar staple in American currency, but what sets the 1981 issue apart is its place in a very specific transition period. That year was the last full year the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln pennies using 95% copper. Starting in 1982, the Mint shifted to a new composition of copper-plated zinc, due to the rising cost of copper. As a result, 1981 marked the end of an era for the Lincoln penny's traditional makeup, making it particularly special in the eyes of collectors. But it's not just the metal that matters. There are other factors at play too. Minting errors, production quirks, and exceptional condition can elevate a seemingly ordinary coin into a rare collectible. For example, some 1981 Lincoln pennies were struck using worn or doubled dies, leading to unusual visual effects on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features. Coins with doubled dies, especially visible in the word Liberty or In God We Trust, are highly desirable. Some others show weak strikes or off-center images, which can make them rare and sought after. Combine one of these unusual features with excellent preservation, say, a coin that's never circulated and maintains its brilliant red finish, and you've got something truly exceptional. Grading services like PCGS and NGC regularly assess coins based on their condition, from heavily worn examples to those in mint state 65, 66, 67, or even higher. For the 1981 Lincoln penny, coins that achieve a high mint state grade, especially those from the Denver or Philadelphia Mint with no visible wear and full luster, are incredibly scarce. The average person wouldn't recognize them at a glance, but to the trained eye of a numismatist, they're gold mines in copper clothing. Even more intriguing is the fact that many of these rare coins remain in circulation or are sitting in jars, forgotten collections, or inherited estates, just waiting to be discovered. One such 1981 Lincoln cent, graded as MS68 red with a unique die variety, made waves when it appeared at auction. The coin, brilliantly preserved and showing flawless surfaces, was an immediate standout. Collectors from across the country and beyond jumped at the chance to claim it, knowing how rare it is to find such a pristine piece from that particular year. As the bids climbed higher and higher, it was clear that this was no ordinary penny. By the time the auctioneer's gavel fell for the final time, this small copper coin had sold for an extraordinary amount. That 1 cent, minted in 1981 and once easily overlooked in daily transactions, was ultimately valued at $75,000. That's right, $75,000 for a single penny. It's a reminder that hidden treasures exist in the most unlikely places, and sometimes, the smallest coin in your pocket might just hold a fortune. So check your change carefully, search through those old piggy banks and coin rolls, because one special 1981 Lincoln penny could change your life. Top 4. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand that's worth more than most people's annual salary. Yes, we're talking about the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1980, a coin so seemingly ordinary, yet capable of hiding extraordinary value beneath its small copper frame. For decades, these little coins have traveled through time in pockets, purses, and piggy banks, often ignored or tossed aside without a second glance. But what many don't realize is that some of these 1980 Lincoln pennies are now worth a fortune to collectors who understand the true value of rarity, condition, and history. And one particular penny from that year shocked the numismatic world when it reached an auction price few could have predicted. The Lincoln cent, a coin that has been minted since 1909, is deeply rooted in American history. It honors the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most influential and admired presidents in United States history. By the time 1980 rolled around, this iconic penny had already undergone a number of changes in design, minting techniques, and composition. But the 1980 issue remains unique for multiple reasons. For one, this was during the last few years that the U.S. Mint was using 95% copper to produce Lincoln pennies. In just a couple of years, copper prices would surge, leading the Mint to switch to cheaper copper-plated zinc in 1982. That makes the 1980 penny one of the last of its kind, a relic from the end of the traditional copper era. But what truly elevates certain 1980 Lincoln pennies from pocket change to prize-worthy collectibles are rare minting errors and their overall preservation. Imagine a penny that was struck by a misaligned die, or one that shows a dramatic off-center image. These types of mint errors are rare, and collectors are always willing to pay a premium for coins that are not only authentic but also display these unique quirks. Even more desirable are examples with doubled die features, where the text on the coin, like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appears doubled due to a rare error during the minting process. These doubled dies create a distinctive appearance, and when found on a coin in excellent condition, they can multiply its value exponentially. Condition, or grade, is another critical element in determining a coin's value. Most Lincoln pennies from 1980 have seen extensive circulation and wear, but a small number were preserved in pristine condition, kept untouched in coin rolls, collections, or forgotten drawers. These are the coins that collectors dream about, brilliant uncirculated examples with their original red luster, flawless fields, and razor-sharp details. Coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC are especially valuable. Combine this level of quality with a rare error or unique strike, and you're looking at a coin that's worth far more than 1 cent. In one particularly stunning case, a 1980 Lincoln penny, flawless in its presentation and bearing an extremely rare die variety, captivated collectors at a high-profile auction. The coin, still shining with its original mint red color and featuring perfectly struck details, stood out immediately. Experts noted its unique doubling on key inscriptions and a small but significant die break on the reverse. The bids poured in, with collectors recognizing the incredible rarity of such a coin. The final hammer price stunned even seasoned dealers. That humble 1 cent piece, once thought to be common and insignificant, sold for a jaw-dropping amount. Its final value was $80,000. Yes, $80,000 for a single Lincoln penny from 1980. So before you dismiss those old coins at the bottom of a drawer or in a forgotten coin jar, take a closer look. That simple copper coin you thought was worthless could be a life-changing discovery. Top 5. There's something magical about finding unexpected treasure in the most ordinary places. You open an old drawer, stumble upon a jar of coins, and among the faded copper and dull silver, a single penny catches your eye. It's from 1970. Most people wouldn't think twice about it. It's just 1 cent, after all. But what if I told you that this humble little Lincoln penny could be worth far more than you ever imagined? In fact, one incredibly rare example of the 1970 Lincoln 1 cent coin has left collectors stunned and eager to pay fortunes for a glimpse of numismatic perfection and error-driven rarity. That's right. What seems like a basic copper coin might just be one of the most valuable surprises in your possession. The Lincoln penny, introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, became a cultural icon and has remained a staple of U.S. coinage for over a century. By 1970, the penny had gone through decades of evolution. However, the coin from that specific year holds a special place in the world of coin collectors. That's because 1970 wasn't just any year, it was a turning point, especially in how coins were minted and how varieties became more closely tracked. And with this year's Lincoln cent, something unusual slipped through the cracks. A rare and highly sought-after double-die variety that has since become the stuff of legend. Collectors quickly began to notice that some 1970s Lincoln pennies, those minted in San Francisco, exhibited doubling on the obverse, or front side, of the coin. If you looked closely at the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, you could see clear signs of doubling, each letter slightly shadowed by a twin. This phenomenon, known as a double die, occurs when the coin die itself is improperly manufactured and imprints a doubled image onto every coin it strikes. These errors are rare and difficult to detect during production, which is exactly what makes them so valuable. When found in excellent condition, they're considered absolute gold in the eyes of serious collectors. Even more impressive than the error itself is the condition in which some of these rare coins have survived. While most pennies are tossed in change jars and subject to years of wear, some examples have been preserved almost perfectly from the day they were minted. These are known as mint state coins, and they are graded on a scale that ranges from MS-60 all the way up to MS-70. The higher the grade, the sharper the detail, the brighter the luster, and the fewer the blemishes. A 1970 Lincoln cent that has both a significant error and a high grade becomes a double rarity, and when it goes to auction, collectors know to expect serious competition. There's also the matter of limited quantity. Not every 1970 penny has a doubling error, and not every penny with a doubling error is in top-grade condition. That tiny overlap, where both factors exist together, is what gives rise to mind-blowing value. Add to that the history, the mystery, and the excitement of tracking one down, and it's easy to see why coin collectors will pay top dollar for these hidden gems. It's not just about the metal or the mint, it's about owning a piece of U.S. history that's frozen in a rare moment of imperfection. And now for the moment that leaves jaws dropping, the auction price. One particular 1970 Lincoln penny, bearing the famed double-die variety and preserved in outstanding mint state condition, was the subject of intense bidding among elite collectors. Its vivid detail, clear doubling, and brilliant copper tone made it a shining example of what coin collecting dreams are made of. When the gavel fell, it had shattered expectations and set a new benchmark in the market. That single 1-cent coin, once overlooked by many, sold for $100,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $100,000 for a Lincoln penny from the year 1970. So the next time you find yourself sorting through old change or browsing a flea market, pay extra attention to those older coins. Because sometimes that small, copper-colored circle isn't just a penny, it's a six-figure surprise waiting to be discovered.